The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Lifestyle. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Well, good morning. I'm Paige Clarke, and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
That's right, Paige. To recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms, I'm Nico and Haan.
And it's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater, 67 degrees, going to go up to 82, mostly clear. We're having great weather, a little bit of pollen in the air, but otherwise really beautiful.
Definitely pollen in the air. Boy, it's really affecting me this week, but I think I'm on the downside of it, so
good.
It's all good.
Good. If you want to subscribe to our Health Signals newsletter, please do so and pick up some of our Primal Edge.
Definitely. And also, remember, we're making a really good promotion today for the Primal Edge. So $25 off. You go to the front of the TFNN.com website, and you'll find it there, 25% off the first order. So anybody who's actually on order right now can get an extra bottle at that price, too.
That's right. Good time to stock up. And you can actually use your discounted Tiger dollars to buy Primal Edge on an ongoing basis. So
definitely can.
We got Tom in the studio here, wants to make sure all of you guys get healthy and stay healthy.
No doubt about it. The number here is 877-927-6648. And, of course, you can contact us through email at nico@tfnn.com.
And Paige at tfnn.com.
All right.
And I wanted to tell you that I went ahead and ordered my ancestry, my 23andMe genetic test swab.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I wanted to, I've done some other things, had some tests that gave partial answers, but ever since I was a little girl, I had a dream that I was related to Pocahontas.
Okay.
An Indian.
And Tom is an Indian also.
Yeah, Geronimo.
Geronimo, exactly.
Right. But I just have this idea, and, this may actually shatter my little dream because I'll have to get the actual answers. But doesn't mean it couldn't be in spirit. But it got me thinking about how I used to tell people, because my grandmother was adopted.
Okay.
And people have always said, well, you look like your grandmother.
Mm-hmm. And
one thing about her was she had very little body hair, and she always got a nice tan, and she had high cheekbones, And I have and I heard that someone on my father's side, on that side, had dark hair, blue eyes. Just very curious about the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to do. We've traced our family history back to about the middle of the 1100s. So the 10th century.
Are you 100% Dutch?
Yeah. So as far as on my mother's side, it goes back to 1050.
See, what I know...
On my father's side, I have no clue. But the Haan is very, very Dutch.
Well,
it's
yeah,
very
definitely.
common,
And you got
like
that
Smith
Haan
and
chin,
Yeah, so I'm figuring pretty much. But who knows, Well,
I always explain I'm a mutt, I'm a little Scotch, Irish, English. But I'm just curious because you find out, many people are very surprised to find out that they have a sliver of some nationalities that they had no idea.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be fun. Actually, my sister and I are doing it together, and we're also doing it for the gene snips to determine, some of these health issues that you all have heard us talk about. But again, my fascination with the idea that I may very well be a medicine woman got me thinking about it, and I found this great article, and I want to kind of talk a little bit on this show about some of these tribal cultures and how they viewed medicine and illness.
I like it.
And maybe perhaps share some of their herbs that they use that may very well be in your very backyard that were actually part of their traditional healing culture.
Yeah.
But the power of the Cherokee women is renowned and was noticed immediately at the very beginning of European settlement of this country. And in fact, in 1757, the great Cherokee leader, female chief, Attakullakulla, I hope I'm saying that right, she came to South Carolina to negotiate trade agreements with the governor and was shocked. She was completely shocked to see that there were no white women present. And her comment was, since the white man as well as the red man were born of a woman, did not the white man admit women to their councils? And when she asked the governor of South Carolina this, it kind of threw him aback for quite some time. It took him a while, and his answer was, the white men do place confidence in their women and share their counsels with them.
As long as they stay home.
Well, he says, when they know their hearts are good.
As long as they're not witches, I guess. Yeah.
Right. And, they were really astonished to see that the European women were the equal parts of men. Politically, economically, and theologically, women had autonomy and sexual freedom, could obtain divorce easily, rarely experienced rape or domestic violence, worked as producers and farmers, owned their own homes and fields, and had significant political and economical power. And it's really their close association with nature as mothers and producers served as the basis of their power. Mm-hmm. But one of the hardest things that for the colonists to grasp their hands on was the Cherokee kinship. Are you aware of that?
Maybe I know a little bit
kind
about
of the family structure. It was based on it was a matriarchal society, matrilineal system, the oldest social organization known to man or woman, in which your lineage is traced through the mother and the maternal ancestors. The most important male relative in a Cherokee child's life was not their father, but their mother's brother, their uncle.
When we traced our family history, we went by mother, too. It's an easier way to go, too.
But it's not, but what I'm saying is it's not just easier, it was revered.
Yeah, that makes sense, too.
Yeah, the important male relative was the uncle. And in fact, the father was not even formally considered related to his offspring.
Yeah, and it blows my mind because we know that George Washington and his group really took most of the stuff from the Cherokee Nation as far as how their democracy was. The only really thing they changed was that the head was going to be a man instead of a woman.
And that's right. So they adapted the Indian structure.
Except for the most important thing.
The most important thing, yeah.
Exactly.
And so while white men would marry into Indian women, they were shocked to discover that the Cherokees did not consider them to be related to their children, and the mothers and not the fathers had complete control over both the children and the property. So most of the wealth was managed by the female line. And the women were the ones that owned the houses where the extended family lived, and daughters inherited the property from their mothers.
So completely backwards from what we do today. And many people would say that backward system is what got us in trouble in the first place.
Yeah, we kind of convoluted. It could be, listen to this, in order to prevent a white man from just marrying an Indian woman for profit, as the Cherokee land was coveted by the white colonists. I mean, let's think about it. I mean, what did we do? What did we do?
Right.
The husband's Cherokee citizenship was revoked if he decided to leave. And should a white man abandon his Cherokee wife without good reason, he forfeited Cherokee citizenship, and he paid fees for breach of marriage. So very interesting stuff.
That's the ancient divorce, I guess.
Yeah.
Please pick up our Health Signals newsletter. I got a real interesting article about does all disease really begin in the gut? And here on Primal Lifestyle, we think that's true.
Yeah, that's what Dr. Springer tells us, too. We'll be right back. More good stuff.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to the show. And this is really blowing my mind that, we're really turning the world upside down modern ways. And our ancient ancestors really kind of knew a better way that it makes more sense to have the
societal structure. In fact, not even so ancient as early or late ago as 16th, 17th, 18th century here in America.
Yeah.
It was a patriarchal lineage society that was very peaceful and very productive, by the way.
Until they were starting to be pushed west, naturally. So Johnson, the author here, points out that the traditional Cherokee culture, men and women, had different roles, different ritual spaces, different ceremonies. Men were hunters, women were farmers who controlled the household. Both were responsible for putting food on the table. Pretty interesting thing. I mean, that we naturally think that the men go out and hunt. But, I mean, the women are home more. That makes more sense if they're going to be in charge.
Yeah, and they were, because of their close concept with nature and being productive on the land, the women were extremely powerful.
So that means that the leaders of the men were going out to hunt just as well. Whereas we don't see that in our modern society. When we go out to war with somebody, the leaders stay home and direct all the common people.
That's
It's
right.
a whole different bag there.
Hey, let's talk about sex. Let's talk about sex now. They say that both the men and women were sexually liberated.
All right.
And their unions were typically based on mutual attraction. And the concept of being ashamed of one's body or physical desires, it was actually kind of foreign. There wasn't this Puritan's pride or puritanical approach. They were pretty active.
Well, they lived in nature, and the human body is part of nature. I mean, give me a break.
It said that, of course, in marriage, they were expected to be faithful to each other, but sometimes they would get married, maybe have 5 or 6 kids, and then just as easy as they got together, they would just say, hey, we're done now.
Yeah, and then the women would take the girls, and the men would take the boys. And that seems like a very equitable way of doing it. Naturally, the kid, the boy needs a man.
Yeah,
and the woman needs a woman.
Well,
it makes sense to me.
We shouldn't say they need them, but it gives them an opportunity to kind of raise them. Because, I know a lot of boys that are raised by a mother.
You look up to your dad. I mean, and you do the dad's things. He's going to teach you to hunt. The mother is usually not going to. There might be an odd one that does that. But
it sounds like basically the Cherokee couples going through divorce did not seem to experience the same level of emotional or financial crisis that happens today. And there were some pretty exciting little Cherokee singles mixers going on. They were kind of charged with sexual energy, and they were strictly regulated through ceremony, though. They respected the ceremony of it, and so they had like ritual dances that were performed publicly by young Cherokees, and it was in movements that imitated a sexual act, something that appalled the prudish white American settlers.
Only do that behind closed doors.
In general, I guess
Yeah.
in general, it's kind of amazing. You can only imagine the scene.
Well, yeah, because here we have both parties are actually spiritual in a sense, or religious.
They have their spiritual thing.
Yeah, but one is coming from everything in nature is wrong. We got to change that. We're the ones in charge. Where the American Indian and many other cultures are saying, no, we're part of this whole organization of the earth and the soil and the animals. They're all us. We're all the same. No difference. It's a whole different way of looking at things, and I think, and that's why I love the American Indians and maybe the Aborigines of Australia, and most indigenous people have these wonderful, wonderful traditions that, the hair stands up when you're hearing the drums, and you don't understand what's going on, but you feel what's going on.
Oh, I think so. And let me just share this. I want to read this.
Okay.
Cherokees strictly obeyed individual taboos on food and sex, but those taboos were specific to one's circumstances, and they were usually temporary. So it's not at all surprising that the joyless, rigid, sex-negative, and guilt-intensive view of life of the early European settlers pitched to the Cherokees by these missionaries in the early 18th century was initially met with very, very little enthusiasm.
Not only that, if you look at what Mexico went through and South America went through, they destroyed everything. American Indians didn't create a lot of symbols and things like that, at least not the strictly modern ones in the last 5,000 years. So they had none of these big towers and everything that were symbols of what they were thinking the earth was all about. But in South America and in Mexico, they were. And they destroyed all those things. All the tablets, all that history is gone. So a lot of it is lost. Whereas with this, and I'm sure the American Indian now also is clamoring to protect their language, their rights, all these little rituals that they have. The really important structure of their whole being. And it's slowly being destroyed. And I think
it actually, I find... I'm very interested to see that many history books today do not tell the actual story. I shared the information with you that the Irish Holocaust is more likely the story. The potato famine was made up. In fact, actually, the British...
It was a boycott on the potatoes going into Ireland.
Oh, it was basically the British were stealing the food of the Irish.
That's what I'm saying.
They wanted the
land.
It.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just the potatoes. They were taking their pigs, they were taking their cows, they were taking their eggs.
And taking their women, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. But this is interesting. Listen to this.
Okay.
We're talking about they think these Cherokees are such savages, and they were talking specifically in 1840, Daniel Butrick, a missionary in the Cherokee land, wrote a letter complaining about the morals of the Cherokee women. One, Miss Stafford, it is said, uses profane language, and it is said they attend dances and just used horrible language. They were really rather critical of the Cherokee women. I try and put myself there. These are probably very liberated women, and these very puritanical missionary types were probably just in shock and awe. In several years of being there, they witnessed all kinds of, naked rituals and just without shame. These people were living without shame.
Well, they were
and living in a natural world.
Doing what was natural, and the animals do that too. And that's where, if you're looking at religion, the modern religion of the Western man is really shutting that down. We're not animals. We are more sentient beings.
They forbade any student to attend a ball, play, or go to a dance. And they despaired that the young women who have been educated at mission schools at great expense and labor of these missionaries that were taught to read and understand the Bible are the first victims of these emissaries of darkness.
Wow.
But it's amazing that they had these ideas of these categorizations of these people.
Well, the other bad thing about it, of course, is what started right away was that they wanted to give these children of our native people. They want them to become civilized.
They called them civilized language and habit.
Yeah, so we had to take them out of their homes, and we still do this today. I don't know if you know that, but every tribe that is on a reservation has a quota that they have to give up their children and put them into a white man's school, cut their hair, they can't do certain things. And remember, folks, that when you're talking about the tradition of the ancient people, their hair and their language and their interactions are sacred.
Well, we talked about the hair on the last show. Yeah. If you didn't see it, the hair is actually an antenna and a connection to the universe. So it's really rather interesting to see how we've topsy-turned the whole world.
Yeah.
So we got to take a short break. Make sure you pick up some of our Primal Edge and stay connected to nature and stay healthy that way.
Number here is 877-927-6648.
We'll be right back.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And we're talking about the Cherokee people. The U.S. government and missionaries made a concerted effort to transform Cherokee gender roles and attitudes towards sexuality and the body. They sought to inoculate the European Euro-American values of true womanhood, and they wanted to confine that powerful Cherokee woman to the domestic sphere. Yeah, and they met from a lot. They met with a lot of resistance from these powerful Cherokee
people. Turning
the
whole world upside down.
Completely upside down.
Yeah, it's a real tragedy, too, and many Cherokees started to realize that their sovereignty and possibly their survival depended on being viewed as civilized. So slowly they started that conversion because of the pressure, the constant pressure from all sides.
Oh, they were taking their children, cutting their hair, putting them in these schools.
I remember they were also teaching them Christianity at the same time.
Oh, yeah, and the shame, and all the shame that goes with that, you know, the
wear our clothes,
read our books, move.
Put shoes on. Mm-hmm. That we're discovering today, all these things are not great for us. And
they, Cherokee women were no longer agreed among themselves what it meant to be a woman. By the end of the 18th century, the Cherokee, this philosophy had entered into this wonderful tribal nation and really shaken up how these women, who were the heads of these tribes, who ran everything, who owned everything, were questioning who they were.
Yeah.
You know?
Being civilized meant wearing European clothes, denouncing their century-old religious practices and art, converting to Christianity, adopting a
patriarchal, agrarian way of life.
Yeah, and men would no longer hunt, and women would no longer farm. The white man would do them for them, I guess. That's what the reservations were all about. Folks, you don't have to be, we know you're in
we
the
just want your land.
Yeah, and then you call them lazy. Look at those lazy people in the reservation. They don't do anything.
Yeah, we want your land, and we're going to make all the money from it, and we'll just send you some scraps. And the men's roles were more disrupted than women's because the men lost their ability to be hunters and warriors.
And this
so
is
here
the pride of being a man in a nation, was the ability that you could hunt. And I find nothing greater as far as a chore to do than climbing on a horse and chasing down a buffalo. If you can do that by yourself, I mean, that would be the greatest thrill. That's better than going jiu-jitsu, I think.
Well, and and just the idea of survival and the pride of providing for your family. And then, so what happened is that was the role of the man. And traditionally, the role of the woman had been the farmer. It was still a powerful role. Yeah. So now, since they took away the hunter and the warrior, when the man was told he had to come home and be a farmer, this had a lot of
and it's really not farming. I consider farming different. It's more gardening.
Yeah, it's a great word. Yeah, gardening.
Yeah, because they really didn't have fences and things like that. They knew what to plant together. There's
harvesting.
Not one crop. Yeah,
that's a really good point.
And probably what they were doing in the beginning, especially during the good times and the good climate, they were probably just using the wild plants and manicuring them, and changing it that way. And later on, maybe they started planting things like corn and things like that when the other food ran out.
So I want to kind of start to shift in a way about maybe some of these people's beautiful theories of illness and disease. But before we go, kind of in closing, the loss of formal political power was dramatic. The Cherokee Constitution, modeled after the U.S. Constitution, created a 3-branch government with a Supreme Court, a legislation, and a principal chief as an executive. The difference was it was usually the woman. When the woman was in power. The Cherokees hoped that this demonstration of sovereignty would prevent their forced removal from their ancestors' land. So this is what happened. As their tribal sovereignty was challenged, they created a structure that more mirrored the U.S. But by the 1800s, the Cherokees had lost their independence and had become dominated by white Americans. And at this time, the white Americans did not believe that it was proper for women to fight wars, vote, speak in public, work outside the home, or even control their own children. The Cherokees then began to imitate whites, and the Cherokee woman lost much of their power and prestige. So in the 20th century, they had to struggle along with other women to acquire many of the rights that the Cherokee woman once freely enjoyed. And I get goosebumps thinking about that. Yeah. How's that working for us? I mean, pretty much since we messed with theirs, they are very peaceful. They lived for hundreds of thousands of years in peaceful civilizations amongst themselves until we started to push them around.
So let's switch it over to the theory of disease and how these ancient cultures really
This is from the CherokeeRegistry.com. Great article.
Like most primitive people, the Cherokees believed that disease and death were not natural, but due to the evil influence of animal spirits, ghosts, and witches. And this is really interesting because, of course, now we know that it's not the ghosts and it's not the witches and it's not the animal spirits. We just call it something else.
We'll call it an energy.
Well, we call it
frequency.
energy, we call it pathogens, and we call it disease, and we call it viruses and things like that. But they didn't have the concept of that. They didn't have a microscope where they can see these things, so they called it other things.
But let me just add to that,
Sure.
because it's just kind of something popped into my head. So yes, we might have a microscope and we might see a pathogen in the body.
But then you're looking at one thing instead of the whole thing.
Right, because you're looking at how it presents itself physically.
Right.
But the frequency or the energy of that pathogen in the body in the physical form is resonating in the spirit body.
Good point.
They saw that. That's why.
That's the first thing they looked at.
That's why drugs suppress a disease. They never cure it.
Yeah.
They drive it deeper, because what did you do? You might have killed the physical manifestation, but you didn't get the spirit of the disease. See? Important stuff.
In ancient times, the Cherokees had no concept of anyone dying a natural death. The university ascribed to the death of those who perished by disease as an intervention or an agency of evil spirits, witches, and so on. A person dying by disease and charged his death to have been procured by means of witchcraft or spirits by any other person. It's just an inevitable death, they say, once you're possessed. And if you're possessed with cancer, same thing happens.
Well, that's what they're saying, is that there was a consumption by an evil frequency. It's another way of saying a spirit, a frequency, an energy in the spirit realm that you can't see.
Yep. So from a scientific standpoint, that theory is all completely wrong, and consequently, we can hardly expect that their therapeutic system to be correct. It may not be correct, but it certainly worked as good as what we have.
That's the interesting part. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Their theory and diagnosis are entirely wrong from a scientific standpoint. Well, science is now coming around and understanding that there's a lot more information about the fact that disease has a unseen basis.
Z has a quote up here. Paige, thank you for the historical Cherokee
discussion from the European invaders of
Yeah, no doubt about it. He says very distinct similarities are occurring now. This time the invader is the MR Global, using the total digital surveillance entertainment of all our people. That's certainly another way of looking at it, and I can't disagree with that. Our modern society is doing exactly the same thing as we did 200 years ago or 400 years ago when we arrived on this continent.
I think that's great that people are picking that up, and that's kind of what's been going on. I feel we live in an upside-down world where people are not realizing that there is an intent to control us. There is an attempt to hurt us. We may not be being pushed on a reservation, but but in our minds, we're being put on a reservation of our minds. They're controlling, and I watch people who watch television. I just see how they just zone out, and they don't really have a reaction. They're numbed by the reaction of this might cause. Call your doctor if you have an erection for more than 4 hours, but it could kill you, cause heart attack, cancer, and they just don't react to that. But
we'll go on with this. We'll be right back.
After a short break.
Pick up my Health Signals newsletter, and please pick up the Primal Edge right now.
We'll be right back.
Right till the end of the week, we got a big special. So. You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
And welcome back to the show, folks. And we're talking about how the ancient people had different ideas than we do today about disease and about how entertainment really, Z in the chat room is talking about that. The TV is not really entertainment. It's more
entrainment.
It's entrainment.
Yeah.
That's still going on today, and there's no doubt about it.
To control and subvert.
Yeah. And of course, we know in modern medicine, we get a lot of our clues from the plants and things like that, and we try to patent them into a synthetic form. But a lot of the plants, it's interesting because a lot of plants we know today are very powerful, and some of the plants they use really have no effect at all, kind of like a placebo. So they knew the difference.
But the placebo is 50% effective.
Yes, exactly.
So, and that's actually more efficacious than most medicines.
And not only that, they had things like the dance and the drumming and the smoke and the person touching. So here
the
you
intent,
had
the power of intention.
And then also the intent of the patient who believed, had faith in the healer too. Mm-hmm. And that's a big part. If you don't have faith, you don't think it's going to happen, then it probably won't happen too. So
yeah, the faith of a patient has much to do with his recovery, and the Indians had the same implicit confidence in the shaman that a child has in a more intelligent physician. So the people did trust their medicine men and their women, and the ceremonies and prayers are well calculated to instill this feeling and this effect that it produces on the mind of the sick, and it really does impact the recovery favorably because of, as we said, the intention and the power.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to say is the Cherokee practiced holistic medicine.
Yeah.
They practiced primal medicine.
And they have a list here of about 20 plants that were used in the Cherokee practice, and I'm going to be putting this in a future newsletter so you get that information. A little too much for us to go into completely, but it's interesting how now we have scientific proof that a lot of these medications and a lot of these plants are helpful, and they're still helpful today.
Yeah, actually, I think I put an article in the plan here. If you go down to the article, Nico, of 11 plants Native American used to cure everything, it might be a fun one because we can show some of these plants, and they may very well be in your own very backyard. So let's start with just going over a few of these because this is kind of fun.
Make sure you don't spray the darn things with
right, exactly.
glyphosate or anything like that.
Exactly. And the Cherokee Native American tribe, as we're discussing, they were indigenous to the southeastern United States, and they believed that the Creator gave them the gift of understanding and the preservation of medicinal herbs, and they trusted in these herbs to help, and whether it be directly from the herb's effect or the way it was administered, like you said, whether it be the smoke to remove the evil spirits.
Right.
And they promoted gathering techniques for these medicinal plants, and they taught them that when you're gathering them, you should pick every third plant you find That's interesting. This ensures that there's still enough and will remain to propagate it.
Yeah, so they were, that was pretty cool right there. I think. Look at this picture on the telestrator here now. You got the Indian, here's the medicine man.
They had centuries of experience.
And we had the woman
Medicine
here,
woman.
Medicine woman. And of course some of the herbal tools that they use too. So it's definitely a fascinating, and this looks a lot better than going to look in your medicine cabinet, I'm thinking.
Well,
it just gives you a different feeling.
I think it's nature's medicine cabinet. And so let's start by looking at number 1, the big stretch, which is wild ginger. It's a beautiful plant.
Yeah.
It's a wild ginger, and they believe that this mild tea from the wild ginger would really help digestion of food, which we know that to be proven true.
Yeah.
And it treated stomach problems and colic and intestinal gas. So they would fix a tea from this, and they would wipe out emissions from the lung. And that's a lot of what I tell you.
Yeah.
The lung is the organ of last resort when the digestive system is failing.
I see.
So someone with digestive problems may eventually have lung issues.
Wow.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
And they also believed it could cure ear infections, and they would soak the stems and put them near the ears and so forth. The next one is the hummingbird blossom, or the buckbrush. And I remember seeing that a lot, because I grew up in the whole Virginia, North Carolina area. And they use these to treat cysts, fibroid tumors. Interesting. Of course, they knew that there was things going on, inflammation, and also mouth and throat sores. So perhaps instead of doing a tonsillectomy, if they would give you this to help fight your inflamed tonsils or enlarged lymph nodes or anything like hemorrhoids or menstrual bleeding. And to get the benefits of the hummingbird blossom, the Cherokees would steep the leaves and flowers in a boiling water for about 5 minutes, and then they would drink the tea.
Cool.
One of my mentors, Dr. Charles McWilliams, has always said, there's herbs and there's tea, there's homeopathics, okay, which, is dilutions to a point where there's very little of the physical substance left.
Yeah.
He goes, and then there's tea in between. So very powerful medicine between the two.
Well, tea is an internationally thing that people, if you go to Europe, people are offering you tea. If you go to the Middle East, people offer you tea. You go to Africa, people offer you tea. You go to China or the East, people offer you tea. It's internationally
The American
known.
Indians, the Cherokees, drink teas. And, we've kind of adopted that. But
Number 3.
This is called greenbrier, or they called it pull out a sticker. So they would use this plant's roots. They were rich in starch, and they were full of calories. So, but they had a strange flavor, and they were high in minerals and vitamins. But they would use this as a mild diuretic, and would help people that had urinary tract infections, or also a little sticker or something stuck.
Next one is wild mint.
And I think a lot of us
Find
still
this
enjoy
everywhere.
wild mint. It's great to put into some fresh water, but it's popular in present-day cultures today.
Yeah,
but many people didn't know that it contains a lot of antioxidants.
Yeah, and magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, vitamin C, vitamin A, and some fiber.
Obviously, they used it to help with digestion. They could crush it. They'd probably use it as a cold compress, made into ointments.
And they used it also for lowering high blood pressure. You didn't even think that Indians would know about high blood pressure.
They would also, this is interesting, when women were breastfeeding and their nipples would get sore, because breastfeeding is very tough on the nipples, they would rub the mint oil on there, and that would really help. I like this one, the blackberry. Blackberries grow wild, but they saw this as a medicinal food, and it's been a well-known prescription for agitated stomach, yet it additionally has very different healthy purposes. It can be used to soothe bleeding gums, probably due to vitamin C and some of those bioflavonoids
You can make
it has.
a hack syrup by setting up the concoction from its roots, sweetened with a little maple syrup or honey, and this makes a tea. And it's good for swelling of the joints and tissues.
I think we often have to remember that a lot of people knew that it wasn't just the beautiful fruit or the leaves, the roots. And you mentioned making the decoction of the soaking of the roots. Powerful medicine in the roots of these plants.
Cattails.
Cattails. We see these in creeks and so forth, alongside rivers in the southeast United States. And but it's been regarded as a potent preventative medicine.
Yeah. When I lived in Canada, we used to take the stalk, and there's a real moist thing in the stalk that's kind of white. You can chew that, and it's has some calories in it, and for survival purposes, really good stuff.
Yeah, it says the roots are rich in starch and the male plants are rich in pollen. And it can really help with diarrhea, or can also, the fluff from the blooms is known as the seed down. It actually helps to avoid irritation, especially in the skin of infants.
Yeah.
So these wise Cherokee people were using nature's pharmacy, and we can turn back to using a safer form of
First, we
medicine
have
today.
to fix all the things we destroyed, all this beautiful fauna out there that used to be here. It's no longer here. It's a
not
shame.
as much choice.
We'll be right back.
Be right back.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
Welcome back, folks, and we're going over some of these herbs, and they're quite interesting.
Cherokee People's Medicine Cabinet.
Yeah. This next one is Kuala Cha, Kuala Ga.
Sumac berries, and this has been used, almost every part of this plant can be used for medicinal purposes. Even the bark can be made into a mild decoction that can be taken to soothe diarrhea again, and it can be gargled to help with a sore throat.
Yeah, the right berries can make a pleasant beverage that is rich in vitamin C.
You can almost see that.
From the leaves can reduce fevers. You can even crush the leaves into an ointment and help with poison ivy rash. Boy, I could have used that a while ago.
Yeah, so
poison oak
then
stuff.
number 8 is Jizdu Unigisti, or wild rose. I don't know if I said that right, but I gave it a college try.
Yeah, sounds like an Indian.
Yeah, it is. The wild rose, wild rose. And again, we've heard about vitamin C that comes from rose hips.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very high in vitamin C, and it's effective treatment for the flu, which is virus. Okay,
Right,
vitamin C
right.
and virus, and the common cold. The Cherokees prepared a mild tea out of wild rose hips to stimulate the function of the kidneys and the bladder. So sipping a wild rose hips tea is a very healthy thing that we can do today.
Yeah, you can soothe your sore throat, and the concoction of the root will treat diarrhea, and its petals can be used in preparation for a tasty jam.
Very good. So they were really using all of this. And finally, mullein. And this herb has the power to soothe asthma and chest congestion. And according to the Cherokee, inhaling the smoke from this burning herb, its roots and leaves work to miracles to calm your lungs and open up pathways. And it's exceptionally helpful to soothe mucous membranes. You know, you see it's got a little bit of a fuzzy leaf.
Yeah, you can
and you
make
probably recognize this in your yard, you know?
You can make a warm concoction to soak your feet and reduce the joint pain or swelling. Anti-inflammatory properties. It soothes painful and irritating issues, and it can be used as a sedative also.
And
Next
number 10 is Kawi Usadi, yellow dock.
Oh, I see these all the time.
You see it all the time. And
Yeah.
see, you know, first of all, we know we should never be using Roundup. We know that's a toxic thing, but God put these foods right in your backyard.
Yeah.
So when you start, if you can get to the point where you don't use any pesticides, you can start to harvest these out of your yard and use them as additional leaves that are medicine in your salads. It's like spinach, and it has a lot of minerals and vitamins. And again, its roots accumulate the nutrients from deep underground. It's high in iron, and it was used often to help with bruises or diaper rashes.
Tingling. Yeah.
And then finally is the squirrel tail flower, if you want to show that, Nico.
Yep.
This is yarrow. And this herb has been known for its blood clotting properties.
Oh.
Beautiful little flower. Fresh, crushed leaves can be applied to open wounds to stop excess bleeding. So think about that. If there was someone had a wound in those days, they would crush those leaves. Very similar to...
And they probably have this in their little medicine bag. I'm sure every hunting party had the medicine man with them, and you know, using these things and already have...
Or the medicine woman.
Or the medicine woman. It can also help with kidney and gallbladder-related issues.
So it would stop
works-
internal bleeding, too.
Yeah, and it works for chapped hands and other skin irritations. So that's pretty cool. And there's many, many, many more. I mean, there's hundreds. And if you go to Green Med Info, he has a whole list of all these different kinds of things from all around the world. Thousands and thousands of documented plants that help us.
The healing from nature that isn't funded by industry research, and that's important that we start to return to our traditional uses of plant as medicine, as sound as medicine.
Yeah, let's do away with our concrete jungle and let's start letting things grow again. And nature can take its own course, and we can help along a little bit. And I think that's the best way to do things.
I think that's a super idea. I think that maybe I'm going to start next week trying to do an A to Z. I got a couple people they like, not about ailments, but about the herbs. People are hearing herbs. I like teaching a little bit about it. So we'll do little short segments about, maybe we'll start next week with ashwagandha and A to Z's. All right,
Look forward
guys.
to seeing that. Thanks a lot for sticking around,
Have
folks.
a
Really
wonderful
appreciate
day.
it. And you really make the show for us. So keep coming back. Thanks.
Thanks for listening.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.